Let's say the quiet part out loud. If veganism was God's intention for humanity, it would appear clearly in Scripture. But it doesn't. Not once. Not in Christianity, not in Judaism, not in Islam, not even in Hinduism. Instead, every major religion does something very specific. It allows animal consumption, regulates it, disciplines it, and warns against excess, but it never abolishes it. That should already tell you something profound about our relationship with the world God created. Let's begin with Christianity. In the very first chapter of Genesis, humans are described as eating plants. But that is not where the story ends. After the flood, a pivotal moment in human history, God explicitly expands the human diet. In Genesis 9-3, God says to Noah, "Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. And as I gave you the green plants, I gave you everything." That is not symbolic. That is not a metaphor. That is direct permission. And this isn't some dusty, forgotten Old Testament rule. The pattern continues right into the New Testament. Jesus himself eats fish after his resurrection. The apostles, his closest followers, are fishermen. They don't give up their livelihood. They use it as a metaphor for saving souls. The New Testament repeatedly condemns gluttony, the sin of overconsumption, but it never condemns meat. In fact, it does the opposite. In 1 Timothy 4, the Apostle Paul directly warns against false teachers who will come in later times. And what is one of their defining characteristics? They forbid people to marry and order them to abstain from certain foods, which God created to be received with thanksgiving by those who believe and who know the truth. That verse alone dismantles the entire argument that abstaining from animal products is somehow spiritually superior. Christianity does not teach dietary purity through avoidance. It teaches discipline, gratitude, and moderation. Food is not the enemy. Our uncontrolled appetite is. Now let's look at Judaism. Judaism is even more explicit, if that's possible. Entire sections of the Torah, the foundational text, are devoted to what animals may be eaten, how they must be slaughtered, and how the meat must be prepared. Leviticus chapter 11 gives an exhaustive list of permissible and impermissible animals. Deuteronomy chapter 12 regulates slaughter in great detail. Think about it. If humans were meant to be vegan, the entire system of kosher law would not exist. It would be completely redundant. Instead, Judaism teaches that eating animals carries immense responsibility. The act is elevated from simple consumption to a sacred ritual. Blood, representing the life force, must be drained. The animal's suffering must be minimized through a specific, swift method of slaughter. Consumption must be conscious and deliberate. Meat is not treated as a casual snack, but it is absolutely, unequivocally permitted. Judaism doesn't abolish the human desire for meat. It sanctifies it and brings it under the discipline of divine law. Next, Islam follows the exact same divine logic. The Qur'an repeatedly permits lawful, or halal, meat while condemning waste and excess. In Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 168, it says, "O mankind, eat from whatever is on earth that is lawful and good, and do not follow the footsteps of Satan. Indeed, he is to you a clear enemy." Notice what's condemned, not the food itself, but following a path of corruption and ingratitude. The concept of halal exists for a reason. It's a system designed to enforce mercy, cleanliness, and restraint in the act of taking an animal's life for food. Animal sacrifice is a core part of major Islamic observances, like Eid al-Adha, where the meat is shared with family, friends, and the poor. The message isn't to avoid meat, it's to share it and to be thankful. And just like in Christianity and Judaism, the warning is always about balance. Surah Al-A'raf, verse 31, explicitly states, "Eat and drink, but be not excessive." Indeed, he likes not those who commit excess. Again, Islam does not preach abstinence. It preaches self-control. The permission is clear. The sin is in the excess. Now, let us address the religion that people always point to when trying to make a religious case for veganism: Hinduism. It's true, a large number of Hindus are vegetarian. But Hindu scripture does not command universal veganism. In fact, it does the opposite. Dairy products like milk, ghee, which is clarified butter, and yogurt are considered sacred. They are used in religious ceremonies and as offerings to the deities. The cow is revered as a sacred animal, a symbol of life and sustenance, which is precisely why its products are integrated into spiritual life, not erased from it. Veganism would require abandoning these sacred traditions. The Bhagavad Gita, one of Hinduism's most revered texts, emphasizes a sattvic diet food that promotes balance, clarity, and spiritual discipline. This often includes fruits, vegetables, grains, and dairy. But even here, Dietary choice is framed as a personal spiritual discipline tailored to an individual's path, not a blanket, universal command for all people at all times. Hinduism does not teach that consuming all animal products is inherently immoral. It teaches that our uncontrolled desires and attachments are the root of spiritual problems. So let's step back and look at the pattern here, because it's undeniable. Christianity allows meat. Judaism regulates meat. Islam sanctifies meat. Hinduism moderates the consumption of animal products. None of them eliminate them. None of them command veganism. None of them frame animal consumption as sinful by default. The common thread through all of these ancient wisdom traditions is not elimination, but discipline. That brings us to an uncomfortable modern truth. Veganism is not an ancient divine command. It is a modern ideological position. It's a philosophy born of the industrial age, not of divine revelation. To be a healthy vegan today often requires a globalized food system, industrial food processing for meat, and dairy replacements, and careful B12 supplementation, something no God ever asked humanity to depend on for basic survival. Religious diets were built around real food, not highly processed replacements. They were built around the discipline of the human will, not the total elimination of entire food groups. They were built around a sustainable relationship with the natural world, not a rigid ideology that often separates us from it. Religion understood something that many modern movements forget. The human being is not just a spiritual entity. We are physical, biological beings. And when humans try to ignore that biological reality, we often end up rebranding our struggles as a form of virtue. Think about it. Every single holy book warns against gluttony and excess. Not one warns against meat itself. Every major religion provides a framework to discipline our appetite. None of them demand total abstinence from the animal nutrition that has sustained humanity for millennia. That is not a coincidence. That is design. So if veganism were truly God's plan for humanity, where is the command? Where is the verse? Where is the clear, unambiguous instruction, even once across thousands of years of revelation? It isn't there. The truth is simple. Religion didn't fail to teach veganism. Veganism simply isn't a religious truth. Discipline is. Moderation is. Gratitude for God's creation is. Follow United Faith Project, because the truth was never meant to be fashionable. It was meant to be lived. Thanks for watching.